All right, East Texas. Here with us today is Dr. Gupta, the director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy. Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And so I know we're here to discuss the bill that's moving before the Senate to try to help with new supplemental appropriations for border security and combating fentanyl. And I think it would be important and helpful for the community if you just break down, unpack that bill so we know what we're dealing with.
Certainly. Well, first of all, let me make sure we know that we're dealing with some of the toughest and fairest reforms to secure the border in decades. Why this is important is because fentanyl is killing too many Americans. The president understands that, and for months he's been asking Congress to take immediate action to provide these critical resources our nation needs to crack down on the trafficking of fentanyl, dangerous drugs, others as well.
Mhm.
What this is basically is resources to provide more Border Patrol agents, resources to provide more officers for the Customs and Border Protection to trace, and track more fentanyl, and importantly, drug detection machines. Over 100 more drug detection machines at our ports of entry, because about 90% of the fentanyl that's coming through is coming through legal commercial ports of entry. And our scanners are about 5% of the scanning that they're doing right now, and it has been across administrations. That's just a fact. So now President Biden is laser focused to make sure that every vehicle that needs to get scanned gets scanned, as opposed to 5 or 10%. This is a bipartisan bill that's endorsed by the Border Patrol Union. It's about $1.2 billion, and it is critical. We have no more time to waste. An American is dying 5 minutes around the clock. It's important that Congress acts. Senate this week is going to take this up. We're calling on them, as the president has done, to ask them to vote this and make sure that we have the resources to protect the American people.
Right. Thank you for explaining that to the community here in East Texas. And so you said you're going to add many machines. Will that also add new job opportunities for people as well?
Absolutely. Thousands more Border Patrol agents and Customs and Border Protection officers will be added through this piece of legislation. So this will be more individuals helping secure our borders. These folks are courageous. They put their lives on the line every single day. We know that we need more. This is the reason that there's so much support. It's bipartisan. In addition to the machines that will help us. Look, every bit of fentanyl that we seize, that we are seizing historic levels already, is the fentanyl that's not making it into East Texas, into the country, and harming Americans. And we need to be making sure that we're doing that. We're getting as much fentanyl away from our border while going after the supply chain as well.
Right. And for the community members that really don't understand the potency or how deadly fentanyl is, could you expand on that just a bit?
Fentanyl is a very dangerous medication. Let me repeat that. Fentanyl is a very dangerous drug. It's about 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. It is small amount, oftentimes marketed as counterfeit pills or fake pills. So if someone is ordering online what they think is a Xanax or an Adderall or an Oxycontin pill, there's a 7 out of 10 chances, 70%, that it's going to be laced with lethal dose potentially of fentanyl. And this is how dangerous the drug supply has become. So bringing these pills from into the border, into our country, is not only bad, but it's potentially harming and killing so many Americans.
Right. And Dr. Gupta, what would this bill give the president authority to do?
This will allow the president to have more resources on the border, secure the border in the most fair and toughest way that we have done in decades, and make sure that we are protecting Americans from the trafficking of these illicit drugs. Look, this is an important part of ensuring that Americans are safe and we are protecting their lives. Just last week, we saw CDC numbers that show a 3% decline in overdose deaths after double-digit rises First time in 5 years this is happening. So President knows that some of the resources that are going into communities like East Texas are working. People are now able to get Narcan or naloxone over the counter, get access to treatment. But this is a very important part of that puzzle, is to make sure that we're stopping as much fentanyl as possible right there at the ports of entry before it makes it into our communities.
Right. And earlier you mentioned that this is a bipartisan bill. Have you received pushback from either of the parties?
Well, the bottom line is this. This is no time to play politics, and we say that to both
Mhm.
sides. This is a time to look at American people and see that you're going to be, counted by how much you're doing to protect the American people first and foremost. So while we can't play politics, this is not the time to play politics because American lives are at stake, and this is a matter of urgency for the president, and that's why he's calling on Congress to act and act now. We
Right.
want to make sure that this is not about politics. This is about good policy. This is about protecting the American people and securing our border.
Okay. And so if the East Texas community wanted to get out and act and encourage fellow members of the government to move on this bill, what do they need to do?
Well, they can definitely call their senators to make sure that they know this is important to them. This is a part that protecting and securing our border is about the most sacred responsibility that all of those in government that represent people have. This is no time to be playing politics. We need to be securing our borders as urgently as possible. So that vote in the Senate will be happening this week. And we feel it's a matter of urgency to push this through and get the resources that our Border Patrol agents, Customs Border Protection, as well as others that are engaged in this fight need to protect and save American lives.
Right. And Dr. Gupta, is there anything that I haven't asked you about this bill that you feel would be important for us to share with community members here?
I think you covered it pretty well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And I think that what you said best, that, removing politics out of it, and you allowed us to do that today, because here at KLTV and East Texas Now, we like to just deliver the facts and armor people with the facts. And you did that by explaining to our East Texas community what this bill is so that they can be educated and help support it if they choose to. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.